I'm Jim, son of Zebedee. My younger brother, John, he and I were fishermen around the Galilee. Now, my younger brother's a very rough man. As for me, you can be the judge. Rabbi Yeshua, he looked in our faces and he gave us a new name. He says, I no longer call you sons of Zebedee. I call you sons of thunder. He saw the kind of men that we were. No other rabbi than Yeshua could have held a man like ours. You've heard of us. We all have names. Simon, not my friend Simon, but Simon the Zealot, member of the Zealot party, hates the Romans. We all do. They attack out of the hills, caravan, bringing supplies and the troops over to Caesarea, that Roman-built city. They attack, they kill, they take weapons. This here, Simon took off of a Roman is made by a Syrian blacksmith. Simon the Zealot. Judas, another one. He's known by his word too, Ascaria. Zechariah, man of the dagger. Judas, Zechariah, man of the dagger. Judas wades into a crowd of Romans, unsuspecting. He hates the Romans too. We all hate the Romans, the invaders into our covenant land. He pulls the Zechariah up under the sixth rib, deep into the heart, drops him like a sack of wheat, and slowly makes his way back through the mob. Judas, man of the dagger, Ascaria. Yeshua, called Simon, Zealot. Judas Ascaria. Another one of our friends, Peter. That wasn't his name when we was met. Simon, Peter, Rock. Me and my brother, sons of thunder. He saw the men that we were. Now ask me this. Do you see what I am? Look at these hands. You see the kind of man I am. Smell me. You smell what I am. Why would I admire Yeshua? A holy man. Strong, but gentle. Look into my face. And Judas, and Simon, and Zealot. I'm yours. And call us to be his friends. Look at me. I'm a fisherman. All I ever known is living by the shore. Netting the fish, getting them marked, that's my way line. No more toil for bird than all of life, and hoisting a net full of splashing creatures, fighting them up to the belly of my vessel, hauling them in, dumping them, bringing them to shore, gutting, cleaning, salting fish, getting them to market. That's my life. I'm not a learned man. I don't read. I don't write. But you, I hate to run. But mostly I just love to fish. Being out in the water at night and in the early morning mist. Well, that's what I was doing when he found me. It started years ago. Me, my father, Zebedee, my younger brother John, we've been fishing all night. Had a good catch too. But I was greedy for more. The mist was lifting off of the lake. The sun was beginning to burn through, and I was making a few final casts with the short nets there in the shallows. And I was blessing Jehovah for the wind. The wind was keeping the school of fish just in place within the reach reach of my net. I thought I'm jerking on every cast. And I was laughing. As I could hear up the shoreline. Simon. And he was cursing the same wind I was blessing. Now Simon's my friend, but he's also the competition. Every morning is a race to see who can get fish to market first. And on this morning, praise Jehovah for the wind, which is robbing his shoreline of my fish and pushing them down to my cove. I win in the race. And then he grows quiet. I look up from my distance. He's standing there in the shallows. Dropped his nets, floating around in the water. He's talking to a man on the shoreline. I can't make out who it is from this distance. It's a tall man. And then, now they're out of the water. He's following this man, coming down the shoreline. And his younger brother, Andrew, he's coming with him too. They're coming in our direction now. And they got their hands in the air and they're pointing at us. Now look at my younger brother, John. He looks at him coming. Old father Zebedee, he sees him coming too. Now me and my brother, we know how Simon could be impetuous. One long before this, he got us into a deal. He said, now, James, you and your brother John, you get together 100 denarii. Put it into this deal and get it back maybe twofold, maybe threefold. Well, we got together 100 denarii. We never saw one of them denarii again. We never did. We know how Simon can be. Now my father, old Zeb, he sees him coming too. Now Zeb, he's sitting over there in the boat. He's too old to fish. But he says, boys, if you don't take me out in this boat every night, this whole business is going to sink to the bottom of the galley. The nets, the oars, the riggings, the sails, the lines, it's all going to the bottom of this lake if you don't put me in the boat every night. Yes, Father. We love our Father. We put Zebedee in the boat every night. Now Zebedee sees him coming through. As they get closer, I pretend not to notice. I bend over the nets, and that's right here Simon's voice bellowing from the shoreline. Hey, come on up here! I got a new man I want you to meet. Named Yeshua, the rabbi. Come out of Nazareth. He's different than all the others. Come on! Simon, I got fish to get to market. I got no time for your new friends. James, he calls out. You and your younger brother, both of you, come on up here. Once you hear what this man's got to say, you're going to want to hear more. You know my father runs a tight ship. I got no time for you and your new... Ring. I turned and saw this man at closer distance now. But I recognized him. You would be that one that come out of Nazareth. Was down at the Jordan River when the Baptist was putting them under. Now what you mean? You see, we'd all gone down to the Jordan River to see John the Baptist. See what he'd do, hear what he'd say. He was a powerful man. So me and my brother John, we went too. We were all curious. And well, while we were there, we got baptized. Everybody was doing it. I'll never forget that day though. This man was there. We were standing in this long line, weaving back and forth along the shore of the waters, waiting our turn to go in. There was hundreds of people. And this man, he was standing in line up ahead of us, waiting his turn to go down. Couldn't miss him. He stood out in the crowd. He was taller than most Jewish men I ever known. He had just long, thick black hair, whipped back and forth by the wind. He was quite thin. He was very broad in his shoulders. On that day, I found myself staring at that man's hands. I said, brother, his hands. They were just hanging by his side. They were filled with prominent sinews wrapped up around his arms, indicating a strength natural but unusual even among men such as myself. Look at that man. It was such a long night we were getting bored. And we couldn't help but notice that bird there. just floating around on the current. We looked up that bird, and then we looked down, and he was slipping down into the water. His turn had come. There he was in the muddy current, waiting out for the Baptist. And they started arguing about something out there. We couldn't make out what it was from this distance. I looked back at that bird, and then I looked back, and the Baptist had him under. His hair was floating on top of the current, so the Baptist pushed him deeper. And there was thunder. It was a voice, big, like thunder, a thunderous voice. It was echoing back and forth through the canyon. Everybody heard it. Where did that come from? He said, what? And then we looked back, and the Baptist had his hands cupped up under that man's arms, bringing him up out of the water, with hair pulled back, sun shining off his face. And that's when that bird started coming down, moving there he fell, just floating on the air current, hovering over his head. And then that bird perched right there on his left shoulder. A dove, most easy bird I know, sat right there on his left shoulder. Never seen anything like that before. So I'm standing in the shadows. I've dropped my nets now. I'm looking at this man. Simon says, yes, he is. He's one and the same. He was down there. Down there at the Jordan. He was the man. Come on out, Captain. I'm not listening to Simon now. I'm just looking at this man. I tell you, I'm afraid of no one. But I felt my chest pounding. All became vivid in my mind. I remember watching him wading back through that current, climb on the slippery slope onto the bank. He stood there wringing himself out, the sun shining off his wet hair and clothes, and birds still perched on his shoulder. That's when he turned to the Baptist. He started to laugh. They nodded, and then he turned, and he started heading down the wilderness road. We all watched him until he disappeared in the distance, that bird still perching on his shoulder. Simon's quiet now. My nets are floating out to sea. I'm just looking at this man. He only said 2 words to me. Grant. Moved his fingers like this. Follow me. Now, I was maybe 200, maybe 300 paces up the shoreline, following behind this man. When I come to myself, and I realized what I was doing, and thought about my old father Zebedee sitting back there in the boat, and I turned around and looked out for Zebedee, and my younger brother John, and he ran over me. He was following hard too. We stood there, looking back and said, his mouth wide open. Hired men standing in the shallows, their mouths wide open, looking at us like we lost our minds. I'm telling you this, you know, the presence of this one man around our lake interrupted the lives of everyone. No one talked about anything but him. Yahshua. Where he been, what he said, what he done. Where can I find him next? Did you see him? I must see him. Did you hear what he did? Is that true? Did he do that? Tell me what he said. Where can I find him next? And everywhere this man went, strange things were happening. Sick people. Really sick people. You know what I said? People that were thought to be on death's door, standing up straight, walking around life. And people were asking, we thought you were dying. How is it? And one name was shouted over and over. Yeshua. Lepers. those condemned by the laws of Moses to live away from mankind started walking into the villages, peeling back their robes, showing pink flesh, crying out, clean, clean, I'm clean, look, clean. People were afraid. They wouldn't touch. They backed away. The laws of Moses. You're breaking the law of Moses. Go back. Rabbis didn't know what to do. They were coming by the hundreds. So they began to send in these lepers down to Jerusalem. At first it was by the dozens, then hundreds, and some say, yea, thousands were standing in line at the great temple, waiting their turn to go in. The priests, the scribes, they were bringing down the ancient scrolls, rolling them open, blowing the dust off, searching for words that hadn't been read for centuries, written by Moses, concerning the verification of the cleanliness and healing of a leper. They were reading the words, asking the questions, interviewing the witnesses, recording the testimonies, making the tests, examining the flesh, and one by one, dozens, hundreds, thousands, they were pronouncing them clean. By the laws of Moses, I now pronounce you clean. 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 These lepers were journeying back to the Northlands, re-entering their villages. I pronounce you clean by the laws of Moses. Families were united. Fathers were picking up children that had not been allowed to touch for days, years, or months. Wives were reunited with spouses. Friends were gathering around. Everyone was touching, rejoicing, laughing. How is this? How is this that you have become clean? One name was whispered, declared, pronounced, insisted upon, demanded, over and over 1,000 times. Yeshua. Yeshua. It was Yeshua. And everywhere he went, he made war on the dark powers. The ones he called the demon power. You could see them. You could see them in an animal. You could see them in a man's face. You could hear them in a woman's voice. They talked to him. And he talked to them. They knew his name. He knew their name. And they were afraid of him. And they begged for mercy. But he showed no mercy in his war against the dark powers. And they fled and screamed in the night before his presence. And so suddenly, a man who'd been a carpenter up in the North Country, unheard of by anyone, was known by everyone. People said, how come we've not heard of this man? How is it that everyone now knows of this man? It was because no one could deny what the man was doing. There were too many people to explain away lepers, sick, crazy people, now whole, well, walking around. No one could explain it away. There have been charlatans throughout our land. There have been over 400 Messiah claims from 400 men over the last 50 years. But this man, no one could forget him. No one could deny him. No one could explain him away. And so suddenly, a man known by no one was known by everyone. A man whose name was spoken by no one was declared, shouted by everyone. The people came. First the hundreds, and then more people than had ever gathered at any one time in any one place. They came by the thousands.
as he walked and talked through the villages. The women worshipped him, the old people adored him, the children, they played with him, they trusted him. He'd scoop them up in his powerful arms and hold them as he walked and talked and was teaching through the villages. They'd hang on his hair, they'd hold his shoulder, they'd kiss him on the cheek. The rabbis were afraid of him. They gathered and huddled, stroking their long gray beards. Where does this man get this power? No one could explain it. The common man said, yes, finally, a rabbi who makes sense. A rabbi who comes out of the synagogue. A rabbi who's heard on the seashore. A rabbi out there on the waves. A rabbi out there in the vineyards. Yes! A man for us. And me. I was one of a small band, and mostly fishermen. We all hated the Romans. He knew our name. He said, come, be my friends. Come with me. Come on. And we did. And he led us to the edge of the world. We huddled around 1,000 campfires. We watched the glow of the flames in his face as he would lean forward, tell us the stories of his beloved kingdom. We did not understand it all. But we felt chosen, special. After a while, though, we had to go back to work. We had families to feed. Wives. Old people to take care of. Children. I'm looking at Simon. Simon's looking at me. Gino and the brothers are standing there. Let's all compete. Let's team up. The four of us. We'll go out every night. We'll fish all night, fish early in the morning. We'll divide the profits 4 ways. We'll take care of the families and we'll follow this longer. Now, I'm telling you this, the first night out, we didn't even catch a smell of fish. Back on shore, we were very unhappy, man. Simon says to me, James, nights like this, and I'm not going to be able to feed my children. I said, yeah. Some more nights like this, my wife's not going to let me back in the house. That's when it happened. Here we were, mending our nets, which is what you do when you got no fish to get tomorrow. Standing there in the shallows, and he come over the hill, running. Here he was, running straight down the hill at us. His robe was flapping behind him, his long hair flying in the breeze. And we just and then we saw I was running. He's being chased. They come over the entire horizon, and they kept coming. By the time we got counted, there was more than 5,000 men come down there. Plus their babies and their women. More people than any other time that had ever gathered on the Galilee shore. Now he raced down to the shoreline. He jumped into Simon's boat. James, push me secure from shore. Anchor me. But I slogged out into the deeper waters, maybe 15 cubit. I anchored the boat there. He stood in that boat, watching them come down, wiping the sweat from his brow till the last one sat. And then he began to speak. Now I'll tell you this. They were like children on bread and milk. Every word that came out of his mouth. I always said it was the Baptist that was the greatest preacher I ever heard. I tell you what, not even the Baptist spoke like this one. You remembered what he said, but it's after he stopped saying it, and he just looked at you, that you knew you'd never see or hear anything like it again. You wouldn't like the other rabbis. They'd say, well, how did you enjoy my teaching today? Shall we have lunch? No. He'd stand there. When he stopped talking, brush his hair aside like this. And sometimes you'd see a sly smile on his face. other times, you could see a tear trace its way down his burnt cheek. And you think, what's that man feeling? Well, maybe 2 hours he was standing up there in the bow of Simon's boat. And then he grew quiet. We'd been in the shadows, 1 ear up, listening, working with the nets. I looked. The people were leaning forward. It was so quiet. And then they started getting the idea. He was looking to the outermost reaches of the crowd. And he was smiling. But one by one, they started getting out. Families, friends, making their way back over the horizon, back to their villages, back to their homes. It took a while, but when the last one was gone, he was still standing there in the bow. And that's when his mood changed. He went like this. Men, let's fish. Simon, we're taking your boat, and we're going to the deep waters today for a great catch. I nearly fell over backward laughing. Well, he's a great preacher, but he didn't know anything about the fish in our lake. You had to be there. Anybody who knows anything about the fish in our lake knows that the great catches are not to be caught in the middle of the day when the sun scorches the waters, forcing the fish down to the cooler, deep waters, deeper than the nets can reach. And anybody who knows anything about the fish in our lake knows that the great catches are not to be caught out in the deepest of waters. Too deep for the nets to trap the fish against the bottom. They're caught in the mediums and the shallows. This is the kill. Besides, there. You see, it's like this. Me and the lad, we were fishing all night and all morning. We ain't got nothing. And we think, well, we've been raised on this lake, see? We think it'd be a good idea if we, this is the first time we were to see the sideways smile. We look down at Simon and turn his head. Now, I know Simon all the time. He never did anything he didn't want to do. Right there. Men, get my boat ready for the launch. We're going to the deep waters today. It was a good breeze, but you look the same. Carrying a vessel across the waters of our beloved Galilee Lake. I watched him. He was in the bow like this. He was studying the waters, like he could see deeper than we could see. And then he began to move his hands like this. Let down his hand. Lower the compass, he said. Put the nets in right here. We let down the compass. The two younger brothers began to row the boat in a long, lazy circle. While me and Simon slowly fed the nets down to the deep, dark waters. That done, I stood up. Oh, my back was breaking. Oh. From fishing all night, catching nothing, being made by this rabbi who knew nothing about the fish in our lake, to come out in the heat of the day and all over again. Oh. And that's when it happened. My nostrils flared, filled with the sweetest smell on earth. Fish. And then I saw the glimmer. A spin. A flip. The waters began to tremble. Andrew called
Fish everywhere, men. Close the nets fast, there's fish everywhere. Me in the stern, Simon in the bow. 2, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 4. Hundreds of fish. Thousands of fish. All the fish of the Galilee gathered together that day within the reach of our nets, pulling us further out to sea, tipping the boat. We were taking on water. They were flipping into the boat, over the boat, into our faces. Praise Jehovah for the fish. That's the next time I remember seeing that man's hand. He pulled off his robe, slumped back. He reached out those powerful hands. He grabbed the net shoulder to shoulder with us. He said, men, pull! Pull with all your might. Pull with all your hearts. Pull with all your souls. 2, 3, 4. Back on shore, we were happy men. We laid them out in nice, neat rows. We were gutting, cleaning, salting quick. But Simon would have none of it. He was man distracted, man disturbed. There was something else on his mind. He pulled at his hair. He mumbled under his breath, and he says, we never caught fish out that far. Ain't no those fish around there. Simon, I said, pick up your cleaning knife, get to. Don't let these fish run on the ground. You pay no heed. Who is this man? A man like this. What kind of man? Simon, I said, come on. Quarter the profits you want. Help us get the fish to the market. Pay no heed. Joshua was leaning up against the great rock, head back, eyes closed, sun on his face, arms folded, and a sly smile on his face. Simon stormed up to him. What kind of a man are you? And that's when we laid down our cleaning knives. And we stepped away. Simon began to tremble. Joshua opened his eyes. Began to stand up to his full height. Simon fell to his knees. What kind of a man are you? Me? I know what I am. I'm a simple man. And that was putting it mildly. You have no idea what kind of a man I am. But we did. What kind of a man are you? I'm not the kind of man who could be around you. We all kept each other's secrets. Our fathers had raised us all together. Here on the lake. We loved our wives, we loved our families. We all had our secrets, and we all kept them, and we knew them. And we did know what kind of man Simon was, and he knew what kind of men we were. Who are you? I can't be around you, Simon said. Not you. Please depart from me. That's the next time I held myself looking at that man's hand. He reached up and took burly Simon by his shoulders. He raised that man up off his knees to his full height. And he smiled at him. Spoke to him like he was his best friend. And said, son, don't be afraid of me. Not now. Not tomorrow. Not ever. From now on, me and you, and the boys here, we're going to be catching men. People have been asking me for years, when did you know? That's when I knew. Suddenly, we all knew we were inside of this man's nets. And there was no turning back. And no one wanted to turn back. We felt the gentle strength of this man.
felt the purity and goodness of his heart, pulling us towards something we had never known before. We felt something beyond anything that we could explain, drawing us. We didn't want to resist. We just came close. We pondered it over and over. Could we remain fishing together for men? He never fought with us. He never overcame our wills. We just wanted to follow him. Because he fished with love. He was telling us love in a way that nobody has ever felt before. We sat around these campfires and that man said, love your enemies. Bless those who persecute you. Do good to those who revile you. Love them. We started to get it. That's what he done with us. Me, killed my first Roman with this claw. Simon, Judas, men who hated our situation and condition. He loved us. And we couldn't resist his heart and soul. I tell you what he told us on every dusty lane as we walked through the villages. We bathed with him in 1,000 places in the Jordan River. Over and over he'd say, you be the salt of the earth. He didn't know who he was talking to. My brother had said, he doesn't know yet. 1,000 times he said to him, Lord, be the salt of the earth. You? The light of the world. He'd take you in his powerful hand. He'd raise you up at the campfire. He'd throw his arm around you in front of all of them. You're the light of the world, he'd say. We'd sit there with our mouths wide open. He said that to the zealot, to the rock, to the Iscariot, to the thunders, the light of the world. He'd tell stories to you about it. Like a city set on a hill. In the darkness, I see the lights coming out in the darkness. I see the light coming out of you in this very dark world. Don't let anybody hide your light under a bushel basket. Shine with love so that all can see. They'll glorify God because you're the light of the world. He said 2 words to me. Follow. And he gave me a dream I never have had before. And he changed my heart. Love. That man loved like no one has ever loved. And no one who ever met him or will meet him will ever be the same. Yeshua. Mashiach. Yeshua. My friend. And you. Shalom, my friends. Shalom.